finished sensory, correct? Yes? And even though we didn't really call it somatic versus visceral, I erased it, but what kind of receptor might be under visceral? Interoceptor, keep going. Baroreceptors. How about pain? Nociceptors, agree? Whereas somatic sensory would be stuff that you're consciously aware of, agree? And here it's telling you skeletal muscle, joints. So what is that? Skeletal muscle joint would be proprioceptors. If it's on your skin, it would be tactile receptors, remember? What else? If it's on your skin, it could also be exteroceptors, correct? Okay, so quick review what we just did. And then this is going to be going to skeletal muscle. Somatic motor is going to go to skeletal muscle, which we will do next week. Okay. But today we're going to finish up with here, autonomic motor. Autonomic motor. So this is going to go to where? It's going to go to smooth muscle, cardiac muscle, and gland. So it's going to stimulate the contraction of heart muscle, smooth muscles, and glands. Where do we have smooth muscles? Small intestine, keep going. Bladder, keep going. Blood vessels. What do all these things have in common? They're in the walls of hollow structure, right? Walls of hollow structure, and all controlled by the autonomic nervous system. Okay? Glands. Gee, what do you guys think? Give me an example of a gland that might be in control of the autonomic nervous system. Okay, the adrenal gland. Okay, what else? That's it? That's all you think of glands? We just talked about some glands, didn't we? Right. Salivary gland, sweat glands, right? I mean, a ton of glands, correct? Throughout the whole semester. So those would be under the control of autonomic nervous system as well. So hopefully you understand where we're at. Here, motor, okay? So it's going to be involving some kind of movement, right? Some kind of movement. Okay. So I want to start with looking at the difference between these two. Okay. Start with looking at the difference of somatic motor versus autonomic motor. Okay. So in a nutshell, autonomic is involuntary. Okay. Remember, you're not consciously aware of these autonomic, and it has two headings. We're going to talk about that in a little while. But let's go into both the somatic and the autonomic are both part of the peripheral nervous system. What does that mean? We're outside the brain and spinal cord. Okay, outside the brain, that's peripheral nervous system, correct? Like way back when. And the difference is somatic, you're conscious control, that's why you go to skeletal muscle. Remember this? Whereas autonomic is involuntary because it's going to go to where? It's going to go to what kind of organs? Hollow organs, right? Because what's the target of autonomic? Cardiac muscle, smooth muscle, and what else? Glands. And that's not very strong here, guys. You guys like what happened to you during the break? Does that make sense? Okay. Okay. So we're going to compare somatic versus autonomic. Okay. As we said, somatic will ultimately go to skeletal muscle, whereas autonomic will go to organs, hollow organs. Okay. Now, both somatic and autonomic has a sensory side and a visceral side, okay? Because sensory are stuff that you're consciously aware of, visceral stuff that you are not consciously aware of. So, so neuron change, that is what comes first, what comes next, what comes next. And these two words should be familiar. What's converging, what's diverging? Converging is coming together, diverging is splitting apart, okay? So keep these two themes in mind as we go through this chapter, because you're going to see that happening. Okay, it's an important picture here. We're comparing somatic versus autonomic, okay? Somatic nervous system, autonomic nervous system. True or false? Both of them involve sensory and motor. True or false? Both of them involve sensory and motor neurons. True. Up or down? We're going to this picture here. It's true, because I see, what's the blue neuron? Blue is sensory, correct? And the red is motor. Okay? On this side, the same thing on the other. Well, okay, on this side, blue is sensory, and what is this color? I don't know. This color and this color would be motor. Agree? Okay, so that's how they're the same. They have both sensory and motor. Okay? How are they different? The ganglion. Okay. So what's a ganglion again? What's their cell body? Where? Outside the spinal cord or brain. Agree? Okay, so the cell body of these neurons, what kind of neurons are they? Are they motor or sensory? Okay, one for motor, two for sensory. Show me, is it motor or sensory? One for motor, two for sensory. Alright, let me kind of back up. Let me tell you. We got into this question because I asked you what's different about the two. Agree? The difference between this and this. And someone said ganglion. Are we talking about this ganglion? Yes or no? No, we're talking about this ganglion. Agree? So now I'm looking at this ganglion. Yes, I agree. That's how they're different. Now I'm asking you, ganglion is cluster of cell bodies outside the CNS. Agree? So now my question to you is, are these neurons motor or sensory? One for motor, two for sensory. Alright. I'm at a loss here, guys. So let's look at this picture. What color neuron is sensory? Blue. This blue, agree? As you follow this blue, where's the cell body for this blue neuron? The dorsal root ganglion. That's that guy, right? Which is the same as the other side. Because we said Monday, dorsal root ganglion will always have what kind of neuron? Sensory neuron. That ring a bell? Still holds true here, correct? So therefore, this ganglion holds the cell body of what neuron? Motor. Only motor, okay, gang? Some of you had two fingers up there. I don't know, you were thinking two for sensory or what the deal was, but it only has motor neuron. See, they even call it motor neuron, right? So the cell body is the motor neuron, okay? And that's how they're different. Somatic Do we have that? No. But here we do, agree? So therefore, somatic motor involves how many motor neurons? Show me with your finger. Somatic motor involves how many motor neurons? Somatic motor. Okay, where's somatic? Over there. Over here. Somatic motor involves how many neurons? How many motor neurons? Sorry. Somatic motor has how many? Only has one. This red one, correct? Let's go over here. Visceral or autonomic motor involves how many neurons? Two. Yeah, visceral motor. Okay. Visceral motor involves how many neurons? Two. The brown and the purple. Does that make sense? That's why there's a ganglion. What's happening at the ganglion? They synapse. They synapse. Okay? Does that make sense? You guys understand this picture? No? Okay. So the very bottom line, guys, you need to understand the difference between somatic motor and autonomic motor. I want you to motor mean this one, agree? Yeah. I only see one red neuron, agree? Motor here is here, because that's motor in this. Okay, first of all, what is this area in the spinal cord? Let's review. Anterior horn. Ventral horn, same thing, correct? So ventral horns would have the cell body of motor neuron. Is that true? Yes. And in somatic, you only see one neuron, correct? In visceral or autonomic motor, where are we now? Are we still anterior horn? Negative. What horn is this? Good. Lateral horn. Cell body of a motor neuron, and it comes out, but it's going to synapse right here. Agree? It has to synapse, which means you're going to have a second motor neuron before you reach your target. Does that make sense? So the difference lies in the motor, the efferent. The efferent. Sensory is the same, correct? Sensory, same, right? No difference. The difference lies in the motor, the efferent, coming out. You guys okay with that? Yes? Thumbs up? You guys are like looking at me like, what is she talking about? It's right here, guys. Okay, so tell me, is this, don't look at the label, just look at the picture. Do like that, right? Is that autonomic or is that somatic? Autonomic or somatic? Autonomic. Why? What gives it away? There's a ganglion. And because there's a ganglion, you need how many neurons? Two. And this coming in, is this efferent? Is this afferent? Efferent is coming out, right? It's coming out. Could this be the lateral horn? Yeah. So lateral horn, efferent, ganglion, synapse, a second neuron to the target, which is what? What is this? What does this look like? The small intestine. What kind of target is in the small intestine? What do you guys think? Smooth muscle. Possibly glands, right? Digestive glands. Does that make sense? So yeah, everything about this is autonomic. Everything about it is autonomic. So if I give you a picture without the label, you should still be able to say, oh yeah, autonomic. Does that make sense? Okay? All right. Now the question comes in, the two division of autonomic, which is sympathetic and parasympathetic. Okay, so we and here will be sympathetic. Now, I purposely use a green and a red color because that's how you want to kind of keep it in mind. One is gonna stop, the other one is gonna go. They're opposite of each other, okay? They oppose each other, okay? And so I try to do the red and green because it's a visual reminder. The question is, where is the ganglion? Okay, that's the big question, keep in mind. Where is the ganglion? That's going to determine if it's right here. That's the big question mark. The ganglion for parasympathetic is a different location than the ganglion for the sympathetic. Okay? And I would just tell you right now, the ganglion for the parasympathetic is going to be closer to the target. Which makes this one what? Which makes it, this one's going to be farther, right? From the target. And what's the target again? Target gonna be smooth muscle. What else? Target muscle and gland. Okay. So once you remember that, everything is easy. Where is this darn ganglion? All right. So obviously, we call this neuron the get it? Ganglionic. This one would be the post ganglionic. Okay? No biggie, right? Easy? So here you go. They both do the same. Okay, the sympathetic and parasympathetic. Same target. Same target. They're both autonomic. They're going to have ganglia. They're both involuntary. And they're concerned with the body's internal environment. Internal. So that's how they're alike. Okay. But their effect is dramatically different. Opposing. That's why I use the green and the red color. They're opposing effect. Okay. All right. So I can read here, and you can read as well, but I like pictures. Okay. So let me see if I can find a picture where they have both together. Yeah, let's do that. Okay, let's take this one. Because otherwise, this shows up. Okay, so let's establish, is the end target the same for both sympathetic and parasympathetic? Yes, correct? So they go to the same places, but they're going to have opposite effect. Okay. So let's talk about how they're different. Now, on this side, right, sorry, parasympathetic. Where does it come out of the CNS? Exit the CNS. Where does it come out? Top and bottom. Agree? So the nickname for parasympathetic is cranial sacral. Okay. Cranial sacral. You like that name?
Yeah.
It's top and bottom. And let's look at the specific. We have medulla oblongata here, and then upper, higher up. Agree? So coming out of the brain is what? Coming out of the brain is nerve. Okay, what do we call those nerves? Cranial nerves. So I need to know what cranial nerves are you talking about? Let's now go to the picture here. See, cranial sacral. Cranial sacral. What nerve are we talking about? 3, 7, 9, and 10. So craniosacral means CN 3, 7, 9, and 10. Okay? Sacral. Sacral refers to what? Sacral nerve, right? Spinal nerves? What? Spinal nerve? S2 to S4. Okay? The nickname, another nickname for parasympathetic is rest and digest. Okay, that tells you functionally. So this name, craniosacral, is anatomy, right? It's all about location. It involves these cranial nerves, but it doesn't tell you what it does, correct? This is a functional nickname, and it, what does it do? It rest and digest. Okay, rest and digest. So the names say digest. What's going to happen while you're under parasympathetic control? You digest your food. And some of you have been eating, so right now you're in what mode? Parasympathetic mode. You're digesting your food. Okay? Let's go to the other side. Sympathetic side. Remember that picture? It's not very clear here, that's why I like the picture. This picture. Where is it coming out of the CNS on the sympathetic side? Thoracic and lumbar. So the nickname here is what? Thoracolumbar. And that corresponds to T1 to what? L2. Does that make sense? Okay. But that's just the anatomy nickname. The physiology, the functional nickname is fight or flight. The functional nickname is fight or flight. Is that opposite of rest and digest? Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally, right? Which most of you have heard for the sympathetic nervous system, correct? It's a very popular nickname for sympathetic nervous system. Okay, T1, L2. So here, see the little bumps? What are little bumps again in the nervous system? Ganglion. So we call this whole thing the sympathetic trunk or the sympathetic chain. And so the ganglion farther away from the target, because the ganglia close to the C and S. Are we close to the C and S here? Yeah, we're just right outside the spinal cord. Does that make sense? So that means what? The pre-ganglionic neuron, is it long or short? Pre. Short, and the post would be long. Whereas over here in the parasympathetic side, the ganglia are closer to the target, so it's the opposite, right? The pre on this side would be long, and the post would be short. Does that make sense? You guys understand? Because the ganglia is close to the organ. You're like, what? Okay, what do I mean? Here, let's go back to this picture. Why I like this picture. Oops. This picture. That is where the ganglion are. Are we on the target organ itself? Yeah. So we call those intramural. Intramural. Someone paints a mural. Where does it go? Where is the mural being painted? On a big wall, right? Of a building, perhaps. Agree? So mural is wall. Intramural. Intra means what? In between, within, right? So within the wall of the organ, you have the ganglia. That's the name, intramural. Does that make sense? Okay. So the pre is very long, the post short. Okay? Let's go to this side. Go to the sympathetic. Ganglion is right here, agree? Ganglion is right next door, so it's running parallel, correct? So let's make that a vocab word. Close to the CNS. One option would be para, get it? Para for parallel. Paravertebral ganglia. That's the chain, the sympathetic trunk. This is a sympathetic trunk. Okay. Sympathetic trunk. Or the sympathetic chain. You know, like I said, I see them using the chain. Trunk or chain. Does that make sense? Okay. Comparing the two. All right. Okay, so the parasympathetic, we have lateral gray matter for the cell body at S2, S4. Remember the spinal cord's lateral gray matter at S2 to S4? S2 to S4, lateral gray matter would be the cell body, remember? Lateral gray cell body, that would be parasympathetic. Or is in the brainstem because it involves the cranial nerve. The cell body is there. Where's the cell body for the post-ganglionic? At the ganglion. Yeah, at the ganglion, exactly. Whereas the cell body for the The sympathetic would involve neurons where the cell body is in the lateral gray horn. At what level? T1 to L2. Right? What we just said. T1 to L2. The lateral gray horn there going to have your pre-ganglionic neuron cell body. Where's the post cell body? At the ganglion. Right? At the ganglion. Okay? Alright. Let's continue. See how else are they different. Here you go. Parasympathetic, sympathetic. How else are they different? Which one is long, which one is short? Short branching is the pre-ganglionic of sympathetic, right? That makes sense? And this is pre, correct? Pre comes before the ganglion. So pre-ganglionic axon is branchy, agree? Branchy, which means you can synapse here, multiple places, correct? Is that diverging or converging? Diverging. So sympathetic is diverging. Okay? And that's not so with the parasympathetic side, correct? This is in there. Notice the length. What did we say about the parasympathetic pre is long, isn't it? Compared to the post is short. Here the pre is short, the post is long because of the location of the ganglion. Does that make sense? Okay, so pictures is worth 1,000 words. I mean, honestly, as a student, I never read, I just look at pictures. But I understand the pictures. I'm probably the most illiterate student ever because I'm visual. You show me a good picture, and I'm done. I am good because I look at pictures and I look at the details of the picture because it's worth 1,000 pages of reading. And you don't have to read, you just understand the picture, and the rest falls into place then. In fact, when I answer a test, when I was a student, I draw pictures to answer my questions. And it's full credit because I explain the answer to a picture. So if you're a visual person, try that, okay? And anatomy is all visual, and that's why I do so well, I guess. But anyway, does this make sense? You guys understand when you look at a sympathetic, parasympathetic? Okay, so we talk about intramural, within the walls of the heart organ, intramural for parasympathetic. Okay. Or the ganglion very close to the target. And we talk about cranial nerve. Yes? 3, 7, 9, and 10, right? So you remember 3790. 3790, okay? It's probably easier to remember than 3, 7, 9, and 10. 3790. And number 10 is vagus. You guys remember 10 is vagus nerve? That's the one that goes all the way down to your abdomen for the digestive tract. So cranial nerve 10 starts up here in the brainstem, all the way down to the abdomen. That's one long nerve, isn't it? That's vagus. That's parasympathetic, controlling your digestive organ, telling you when to digest your food because you're in resting mode. You're not fight or flight. Should you be digesting your food when you're fighting or running? No. So parasympathetic will turn off your digestive tract. Does that make sense? So, spinal nerve. All right, so here's another look. Okay, what am I looking at? Sympathetic or parasympathetic? Para. Good. What gives it away? Cranial nerve, right? Cranial nerves. And it goes to these target organs. Do these look familiar? Okay, look, all your whole digestive tract tied to the vagus nerve, nerve 10. Okay. The other thing I want you to understand is we have plexus. Aha! What the heck is plexus? It's a mess, right? It's a mess. Last time we had what plexus up here? Brachial plexus, and then one down here? Lumbo-sacral plexus. Correct? That was somatic. It's going to your skeletal muscle. Today, I introduced autonomic plexus. Now look at their name. Can you read that? Pulmonary, esophageal, hypogastric, abdominal. Doesn't that kind of tells you it's all autonomic? Lungs, digestive esophagus, abdominal, down below, and that's because that's where it goes, right? Does that make sense? So yeah, these are autonomic plexus, okay, autonomic plexus. So, in general, I need you to understand the parasympathetic, these stuff here, and I need you to understand the effect. So will it stimulate the stomach or not? Parasympathetic, will it stimulate the stomach? Yes. Will it stimulate the heart? Yes. Sure. Do you want your heart to be stimulated when you're digesting your food or resting? No. So for the heart muscle, it will calm it down. Make sense? What about your urinary bladder? Parasympathetic. Will it stimulate the urinary bladder? When can you pee best? When you're resting or when you're running? When you're resting. Agree? So that is what I need you to understand. The anatomy and also what will it stimulate versus suppress. Okay? Same thing on this side. Sympathetic. Same thing on that side. Unfortunately, we're going to spend a little more time on sympathetic because it's a lot more complicated. Okay? Much more complex is diverging. That's why you have a lot of okay, so here is okay, once again, I always skip through all the text. I go straight to the picture because that's all it is. Okay, look at the picture. Is this sympathetic or parasympathetic? Sympathetic, agree? Okay. So we talk about this chain of ganglia called what? What is this chain of ganglia called? Paravertebral ganglia. Give me another name for this. Sympathetic trunk or sympathetic chain, correct? Okay. Now, just follow me here. This little guy, spinal nerve T6, agree? Spinal nerve T6. It comes out, and what's happened here? It's synapse, correct? And then it leaves as post-ganglionic axon, correct? Is the pre a lot shorter than the post? Yeah. Now at T6, we're right here, correct? So it might go out to the intercostal nerve along the way, right? Okay. But must it synapse at the sympathetic chain? Did it synapse here? No. Okay, so let's look at because it's diverging, let's look at the possible pathway. But before I do that, let's talk about the different ganglia. So we have paravertebral ganglia, right? Paravertebral ganglia. We also have these guys. This guy. And those guy is called prevertebral ganglia. Okay, now what does the word pre means? Before. Look at their name. Anyone can read that for me? Celiac? Superior mesenteric? Inferior mesenteric. These, you know, what else have this exact same name? Arteries coming off of abdominal aorta. It's sitting on top of those arteries. And those arteries are right in front of the vertebra. Okay? So you have your vertebral column, then you have this massive abdominal aorta, agree? And then the branch is coming off. Well, this ganglion is sitting right there on the celiac trunk. So that's why they name it prevertebral. Does that make sense? What does pre mean? Before the vertebra. And that's 3. 1, 2, 3. All those are prevertebral. Okay. So this is called celiac superior mesenteric and inferior mesenteric. All right. The third ganglion is the adrenal medulla. Okay. Now, where's the adrenal again? Over the kidney. Right there. So here's the kidney. That's the adrenal medulla. That's the adrenal gland. Where's the medulla? Inside or on the edge? Medulla versus cortex. Where's medulla? Inside. So it's going to go inside the medulla, inside the adrenal gland to get to the medulla. Okay? And that's the last ganglion. Dang. 3 choices of ganglia location, yes? So, as we saw before, autonomic motor, you have to synapse at one ganglion. Yes? The sympathetic side can take their choice of any one of this. Does that make sense? It has to choose one to synapse. It could be here, here, or here. And that's what makes it complicated. That's why it can diverge. It can synapse here for one pathway. Another pathway of diversion might synapse here. Another pathway of diversion might synapse here. Okay, so it diverged. And that's because there are so many different possible sites to synapse. Okay? All right, so let's follow here. So back to this example, T6, T5, T7, T8. Where do all these synapse? Right here. Where's the synapsing of these pre-ganglionic neuron? At the sympathetic trunk, agree? And then it continues as post. Makes sense? All right, now look on this side. The same neuron can come out, on this side, but is it going to synapse at the sympathetic chain? Yes or no? Negative. Where is this going to synapse? At the prevertebral. Agree? Ganglion. Call the celiac ganglion here. But does it have to synapse here? No. It can continue. And now it can synapse at the adrenal medulla. You guys see? That makes sense? So it has its choices where it can synapse. Paravertebral, sympathetic chain, prevertebral, at one of these 3, or it can go all the way to the adrenal medulla and synapse there. It has its choices. It has a a lot more pathway possibility. Okay? And all you do is just look at the picture. Do we have plexus here? Yes or no? Yeah. What is this plexus here called? Cardiac and pulmonary plexus. What's this plexus here called? Hypogastric plexus. Didn't that sound familiar from the last slide? So a plexus is going to have fibers of both sympathetic and parasympathetic. Okay. The cardiac and pulmonary plexi, these are both sympathetic and parasympathetic fibers. Okay, let me go back. There you go. Cardiac plexus. Here they show you the parasympathetic, correct? And then the next picture show you sympathetic. So these autonomic plexus have both para and sympathetic nerve running in and mixing and mingling. So they do run together, form this mess called plexus, but then they find their own way out. Okay, they find their own way out. Okay? All right. So, does this picture make sense? You guys understand? Okay? Understand these three separate ganglia locations. 1, 2, 3. Okay, now let's talk about the Rayleigh community contest. What was that all about? Okay, I'm going to bring it on now. I'm trying to find a picture.